In this video, I will talk about how you can solve linear equations, and we'll see some examples of how you can use properties of real numbers to solve linear equations. So let's first of all start looking at what do we mean by linear equations. These are equations in which the exponent on the variable is 1. Two examples are shown here: 6x plus 4 equals 24, and 2 over 3x minus 5 over 6 equals 2 over 5. Opposed to linear equations, we also have equations which are called non. Here are two examples of nonlinear equations. So 6x squared minus 4 is nonlinear because x has the exponent 2, and 1 over 4xy plus 3 over 7y equals 2 over 5 is nonlinear because of the product xy. So we will start looking at the properties of equality, which will help us to solve linear equations. The first property is the addition property of equality, which says that if you add the same real number or algebraic expression to both sides of an equation, the solution to the equation will remain unchanged. So here's an example. We have x minus 2 is equal to 4. So according to the addition property of inequality, if I add a 2 to both sides, then I will essentially not change the solution. On the left hand side, negative 2 plus 2 gives me a 0, and on the right hand side, 4 plus 2 gives me 6. So the solution to this equation, x minus 2 equals 4, is x is equal to 6. So in order to use the addition property of equality, you make sure that you add the same number to both sides of the equation. The next property is the subtraction property of equality, which is like the addition property, but now we will subtract the same number or algebraic expression from both sides of an equation without changing the solution. So here's an example. So if I have x plus 2 is equal to 6, what I can do is I can subtract 2 from the left hand side of the equation, and then at the same time I can subtract a 2 from the right hand side of the equation. The positive 2 and the minus 2, they kind of add up to a 0, and I have x is equal to 4. So how does this property work? You have to make sure that you're subtracting the same number from both sides of the equation. Next, we have the multiplication property of equality, which again says that if you start with two things which are already equal, if you multiply both of them by the same number, then the solution will not change. So here's an example: x over 4 equals 3. So x over 4 means that x is being divided by 4. So what I can do is I can multiply this with 4, and then I can also multiply the 3 by 4. So what I'm doing is I'm multiplying both sides by the same number. So 4x over 4 gives me just x, and 4 times 3 gives me 12. So the solution to this equation is x is equal to 12. A similar property is the division property of equality, which says both sides of an equation are divided by the same real non-zero number or algebraic expression. The solution to the equation is unchanged. So we have 2x is equal to 6. If I divide both sides by the same number 2, then the solution will remain unchanged. So 2 divided by 2 gives me a 1, leaving me with just the x, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So the solution to the equation 2x over 6 is equal to 3. Then we have another property of real numbers, which is called the distributive property. This property helps us to simplify expressions like a times b plus c, where b and c are within parentheses. And according to this property, a times b plus c is equal to ab plus ac. So let's see if we can do an example. So if I want to do 2 times 3 plus 5, so I can say, according to the distributive property, this is equal to 2 times 3 plus 2 times 5, which is 6 plus 10, which gives me 16. So this is the distributive property and how you can use it for simplifying expressions. Now let's see some examples of solving linear equations. The first example I have is 2x plus 5 equals 17. So the first thing you need to make sure is that to start off, you do not want to do anything with the expression that has x in it. But what we will do is, first thing is undo this plus 5. How do we undo plus 5? Is use the subtraction property of equality. The plus 5 and minus 5 add to give me a 0. So on the left hand side I have a 2x. On the right hand side I have 17 minus 2, which is 12. And now I can use the division property of equality and I can divide both sides by 2, giving me x is equal to 6. So this is how you would solve this example. Looking at another example, we have 3 times 4 plus x minus 6 equals 5 plus 10. So I see a perfect opportunity for me to use the distributive property here. So 3 times 4, and then the 3 also gets multiplied by x. So I can simplify this and I can say this is going to be 3 times 4 plus 3x minus 6 equals 5 plus 10. Now any parts of the equation which can be simplified, I will start simplifying them. So I have 12 plus 3x minus 6 equals 15. Now the 6 is being subtracted, so I can use the addition property and I can add a 6 to both sides. And the minus 6 and the positive 6, they will add up to a 0. So I have 12 plus 3x equals 21. And now I can subtract the 12 from both sides. So that will give me 3x is equal to 9. And now I can divide both sides by 3. So when I do divide both sides by 3, that will give me the solution to this equation as x is equal to 3. So let's see if we can solve another example here. So here's the example, m plus 7 over 4 minus 9. And first thing we need to take care of is the minus. So we add a 9 to both sides. And that gives me m plus 7 over 4 equals 11. Now the 4 which is in the denominator is actually dividing. So how do I undo division is by multiplication. So what I'm doing here is I'm using the multiplication property of equality. So the 4 and the 4 in the denominator, these will cross out, or they will cancel each other, or they will divide to give me a 1. So I have m plus 7 equals 44. And then I can subtract 7 from both sides. And that gives me the answer m equals 37. So I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. If you liked the video, please hit the subscribe button, like the video, share it on your social media. If you would like to see a video on a given topic, please write us an email. We will make a video for you. If you have a question that you would like us to solve for you, send us a copy of that question and we will make a video solution for that problem. So again, if you like the video, please hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. Thank you.